to Speducation. My name is Brandon Reed, and I will be your host. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a topic that has been a little confusing for parents as well as educators. So, without further ado, let's dive into today's lesson. Today's lesson, accommodation versus modification. So what is the difference between an accommodation and a modification? Well, if you don't know, don't worry, you're in good company, because a lot of teachers, even special ed teachers up until about 10 or 12 years ago, had a difficult time discerning the difference between the two, and or at least explaining that difference to other teachers. So hopefully after today's video, it'll make a little bit more sense and you'll have a better understanding of it. So let's jump into what is the difference between an accommodation and a modification. Accommodations change how the student learns the material. The reason for this is because there may be barriers that the student is having trouble getting past. Accommodations provide ways of bypassing those barriers or eliminating them altogether through things like small group instruction, extended time, extra breaks, use of a calculator, guided notes, and preferential seating, etc. Modifications change what a student is taught or expected to learn. This means that the curriculum for the student may be changed in such a way that it differs from what is being taught in the general education setting. So basically, when we're talking about the difference between accommodations and modifications, the main thing is that if you had to sum it up in 2 words, it would be how and what. Accommodations change how the material is being taught. Modifications change what material is being taught. And that's it.
Would you be a good sport and indulge us and just tell us a little more?
Okay. Well, I guess you know a lot about accommodation already, about how those accommodations are provided in the classroom. Because if you're a parent of a child with a learning disability, then you know that those accommodations help support them with the general ed curriculum. Well, I guess I could talk a little bit about modification and what that looks like. What does modification look like? Well, modification can look different from school to school and from student to student, but overall, here are some examples of modifications. Making the assignment easier so the student is not doing the same level of work as other students. Reduction of homework, reduction of classwork. Omitting story problems, using specialized alternative curricula written at lower levels. Simplified vocabulary and concepts, alternative reading books at independent reading levels. So for this one, basically what it's saying is that if you have a student that is reading at a 3rd or 4th grade reading level, and that is as high as they can go, then obviously you're going to need to change the curriculum because they can't read at a 7th grade reading level. So by changing the curriculum, you're changing the needs of the student. You're changing how or what the curriculum is being taught. Tests are written at a lower level of understanding. Preview tests provided as study guides. Picture supports are provided, use of a calculator. Now, this can trip some people up because when they see use of a calculator, they think, well, wait a second, use of a calculator, that's accommodation. Why is it in both? Well, depending on the level of the student's need or where their understanding is at, they may need a calculator for all of the items or for some of the items. It just depends on their level of need and where they're at academically. And then grading based on pass-fail, grading based on work completion. So basically, when you modify the curriculum, you're changing the way the information is being taught. You're doing it in such a way that it changes the level of curriculum for the student. And a lot of times, students that have modifications are on a certificate of completion track, which basically means that they'll be able to graduate, but they won't have a high school diploma. It'll just say that they've completed these level of courses and that's it. Whereas with a high school diploma, it'll say they've completed these level of courses and these are the grades that they got for them. Hopefully this makes a little bit more sense. Does this help?
Great.
Good, good. Great. I'm glad to hear that. Well, I guess we can talk about what we're going to be learning about next week. Wait, next week, that's Christmas, isn't it?
Didn't you get the memo?
No, I didn't get the memo. Well, I guess they got lost in all the TPS reports. I'll have to go find them. Well, anyway, I guess we won't have a video next week or the week after that because that's New Year's week. So I guess the next time we have a new video will be in January. And what are we going to be learning about in January? Well, that's going to be a surprise. So you'll have to tune back in January to find out. So if you liked what you saw today, please click the like button. And if you want updates on future videos, feel free to click the subscribe button and ring the bell for updates on future videos. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to post those in the comments and make sure you share this channel with others, especially those that might benefit from information about special education. And until next time, class dismissed.